one of my takeaways from this conversation is there's a new paradigm we all have to understand. This idea of agent orchestration.
Yep.
Like this, you heard it from Mustafa, but like once you start thinking about it, your experience of the world we live in changes. When you're sending someone a Slack, you're asking yourself a question. Is this an agent? Could it be an agent? Should I have expectations about how this interaction is going to happen? When you're thinking about this demo, where now you're thinking of a video not as a static piece of pixels, all of a sudden that was a 3D experience. We all, for a moment, were embedded in that as if it had physics. You tricked us. There are no physics.
That's right.
That's just pixels.
That's right.
But we actually imagined this scene as if it were a 3D experience. And that's what's happening is, in a way, our lives are becoming 3D through screens, or in the case of agents, like this fan out of agents calling agents. We're adding dimensionality to our experience that I think will give us a different perspective on how we interact with each other and the world.